The town of Los Baños, which is about 60 kilometers south of Manila in the Philippines. We were set up there for many reasons. The Philippines is a rice-producing country. It's an English-speaking rice-producing country. And like many countries in Asia, rice is very, very important. So we started there, but we have offices in 14 countries. So we have a representative office here in Bangkok. We have one in China, Korea, India, Indonesia, Vietnam, Bangladesh, India, Mozambique in Africa, Benin in Africa. All of these countries we have offices, and in all the other countries where we don't have offices, we still have research activities. So we do research activities in every country. Sri Lanka, North Korea, Myanmar, Malaysia, Japan obviously. So we're really connected to rice in every way. But Thailand is particularly important for us because His Majesty the King of Thailand is the patron of our institute. So we have a very special relationship in Thailand.
So why do you choose Thailand for this show? This show is the first time of Thailand. In the old days you set up this show, this kind of show in some other country already?
No, this is the first time we've done post-harvest conference, and I think we chose Thailand for several reasons. One certainly is because post-harvest, the processing, milling and storage of rice is a very important issue in Thailand. Thailand is the largest exporter of rice in the world, so Thailand's ability to harvest the rice, dry the rice, process the rice and store it is fundamentally important. If Thailand can't do good post-harvest, then it cannot be the #1 exporter in the world. It's a very, very important part of Thailand's export rice industry. So that would be the first reason.
How about the Philippines?
Importer. So it's a very important thing because the Philippines loses a lot of rice through bad processing and storage. So they need to improve it. But every country is the same. Post-harvest is really one of the unrecognized major issues in rice production in Asia. Not just in Thailand and Philippines, but Vietnam, China, India. It's a very neglected and forgotten, but it's fundamentally important. Millions of tons of rice that could feed millions of people is lost every year because of inadequate post-harvest. The other reason to do it, of course, is that Bangkok's a very central location. So everybody can come to Bangkok. And at this conference you have people from several African countries, from Myanmar. So Bangkok's very easy to get to, and you've got a very nice facility.
And which area of the area is the big issue now?
In terms of post-harvest, a big issue for us is drying. How do you dry rice after the harvest? I'm sure many people are familiar, if you drive around the provinces anywhere, you'll see rice on the road being dried in the sun. This is very inefficient. Farmers need very simple ways to dry their rice. And with climate change, the rain is coming in an unpredictable way. So just as they harvest, it may be dry previously, but the rain will come, it'll wet the rice. So drying is a very, very important research area. How can you develop cheap, inexpensive drying technologies that farmers can use? Because the rice farmers are not rich and they need either community-based or farm-based drying technologies. The second one is storage. How can farmers store on farm the rice harvest? In many places in Asia, they have the situation where farmers cannot store the rice on their farm. So they harvest the rice, sell it to the market, and then they have no rice for their families. So they harvest the rice, sell it to the market, and then spend the next 4 months buying the rice back from the market to feed their families. If they could have storage on the farm, they wouldn't have to be in that situation of selling the rice and then buying it back to feed themselves. They could store it on the farm, but they need storage that is simple and effective and that will protect it from insects. because if you have insects, they'll eat all your rice. So drying and storage are very important.
And so you work with Thai Rice organization for since you set up the dairy.
Yes.
And what you do, what you help Thai people for rice production?
The main challenge for Thai rice production is to increase productivity. One of the great secrets of Thai rice production is Thailand is the #1 rice exporter in the world. But if you look at your productivity per hectare, the average rice production per hectare in Thailand is around 3 tons, which is probably the lowest in Southeast Asia. But Thailand is blessed with a very, very large area of rice. So even though your production per hectare is very low, you have so much rice you can export. In the Philippines, the biggest importer, their average production per hectare is 3.5 tons. The Philippines is more productive than Thailand per hectare. But they have a very small area for growing rice, and it's on many different islands. So the key challenge for Thailand, and it would be a very good gift to the world, is for Thailand to be more productive with its rice production and not just depend on the huge area that you have in the Central Plains and in the Northeast. So we work with Thailand particularly on this issue, increase your productivity. The challenge is to increase your productivity but maintain your quality. We don't want to get rid of the excellent quality of Thai rice.
And during 50 years, is there some success?
No. Very, very little success. It's very challenging. If you increase production, generally you lose quality. And so we have helped work with Thailand, and we have more productive rice. But when, say, I gave it to you to test, you would taste the new production, the high production rice, and the taste is not as good as the jasmine rice you have already. So that's the challenge, to get high production and high quality. And it's very, very difficult scientific problem, and we've not really solved it, even after 40 years.
But there are some hope.
There is some hope, but then you get into controversial technologies like GM, and that would be obviously very sensitive issues and challenging issues and this sort of thing. But yeah, there is a hope in the future.
GMO.
Yeah, GMO. You may be able to do it with a GMO, but then you have another controversy to deal with.
And now Vietnam is a very important competitor of Thailand. So why they ship to the